Over to you. And we have great last. Renowned Indian cricketer, former captain, cricket team of India, Mr. Sourav Ganguly.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhyuday.
For us in India, cricket is far more than just a sport, as we all know. It's an emotion that unites us all. And for those who have followed cricket closely during his golden years, Sourav Ganguly commanded not just attention, but immense respect on and off the field. I remember one magnificent century on his Test debut at Lord's in 1996. He went on to make history by becoming the only third player ever to hit a century in back-to-back Test matches. He formed a lethal opening partnership with Sachin Tendulkar, a combination that stands as one of the most formidable in cricket history. His career as a captain is equally illustrious, leading India through some of its most defining moments. Mr. Ganguly is widely regarded as one of the most successful captains of our national team. He guided India to victory in the 2002 ICC Champions Trophy, took us to the final of the 2003 Cricket World Cup, and his leadership inspired an entire generation of cricketers. Although he retired from international cricket in 2008, his impact on the game continues to this day. Mr. Ganguly's passion for the sports extends well beyond the field as well. Awarded the prestigious Padma Shri in 2004, he served as the President of Cricket Association of Bengal from 2015 to 2019 and became President of BCCI in 2019, propelling Indian cricket to even greater heights. His charisma transcends from the field to the screen. He is much loved as the host of the popular Bengali show Dadagiri. As we reflect on his extraordinary career, it's clear that the lessons from Mr. Ganguly's journey extend far beyond the cricket pitch. Whether it's in sports or business, the values of into it, that's okay. So growing up, who were the key figures or moments that inspired you to pursue cricket seriously? Was there ever a moment in your childhood when you knew cricket was your calling, or it developed over time?
You know, we grew up in a different generation of the sport. And you know, as in everything in life, business evolves, sport also evolved. I remember getting my first pay for a Ranji Trophy game, which was 400 rupees. So we grew up in that generation, and for whom playing sports was out of love, out of wanting to play the sport, not knowing where it will take you. So players like myself, Sachin, Rahul, players previously to our generation like the greats of Kapil Dev, Gavaskar, all grew up in a generation where sports had no financial security. And you know, that was something which we have seen, and I've seen actually the transformation over the 20 years period from say 1990 to 2010 when IPL came in, finances came in the sport, and BCCI became the most powerful and the richest cricket body in the world. So I've seen that transformation. So for someone like us of that generation, we did not know where this was going, as you said. We just kept playing, just like everything in life. When you start a business, you start from scratch and hope that someday you'll be successful business-wise and financially. And I think as individuals of our generation, we played the sport. Playing for the country was a huge honor, which I believe it still is. But I've actually seen the transformation from where children now can actually think of it as a career, as a life, most importantly financially. And I think that's the best thing about sports. So for someone like us, we just played the game, not knowing where it will take us. And by the grace of God, it took us in the right direction. And we're very fortunate to be around for such a long period of time. I've actually played 500 games for India, along with the likes of Dravid, Sachin, and now Kohli and Dhoni and Rohit Sharma. So probably these are the 6 players in the history of Indian cricket who've played almost 500 games for India. So from that point of view, it was a journey, and I believe that everything in life is a journey. You know, you're a young entrepreneur yourself. You know, You've started your business, you will progress, you will get to greater heights in the next 10, 15 years, but you don't know where it will take you. It's something which is very important to you. As playing the sport was very important to me, playing for the country was very important to me, and then with time things evolved.
I feel that when you took over as captain, it really revitalized the Indian cricket team again. The winning mentality came back. So, was there some early experience in your childhood or in your formative years that really led to you leading or influencing the Indian cricket or the team in such a way?
For me, leadership is about ambition. Leadership is about what you look at it. No 2% will be similar. No two individual leaders will have the same way of leading institutions or teams or whatever they are in a position of leadership in their workplace. So for me, when I became captain in the year 2000, for me, my experiences of leadership was a lot of a young player when I first came into the team in 1996. Understanding the pressures of the sport, understanding the pressures of an individual, of a young player who's trying to establish himself in the world stage. So a lot of my experiences as a non-leader was important in my journey of leadership. And when young players came in, I made sure that they have a atmosphere to perform. They have the right kind of people backing them to perform, and they probably get the right mindset to perform. And I think that's very important in leadership. So I did not read the book of the art of captaincy or anything. I just did what my gut feel said, and a lot of it was from my experiences as a player. The pressures I went through. There are times, in your career when you start, that, you have one or two games to make or break your life. You succeed. If you don't succeed, somebody else succeeds. And I think that really helped me nurturing young players. Giving them a platform, giving them an opportunity where there is no fear. The opportunity and the requirement was to perform and play to the best. Rest did not matter. So, for me, leadership, there's a whole lot of things about leadership, and it could take me a whole evening talking about it. But I think it's about your vision, it's about what you want as a captain. When I first became captain in 2000, we were a great side. We were a great side at home. We would beat teams at home because we had the greatest spinners ever. But when we went away from India, we had tremendous individual performances. The likes of Sachin, Dravid, Azhar was there before me. There was Manjrekar, Gavaskar, who would have great individual performances. But when you went away to Australia and England, where it was seaming, bouncing, and there's a lot of pace, you knew at the day five, more number of times as a team you won't succeed. So, as a leader, it was important to have that vision of being respected when going away. It's not just when you come home and you get pitches with spin and you have the best spinners in the world and you win cricket matches. But it's about getting the respect away in that generation. And I learned a lot from the Australians in that period. They were probably the best cricket team in the last 35, 40 years I've seen, other than the West Indies of 1975. And what they did was they had the talent to win at home and the talent to go away and win. And I think that was something which I wanted to do. And I was fortunate, as I say, wherever I get an opportunity to speak, that I have had the fortune of leading people who could actually easily be captain in that team. The likes of Dravid, Sachin, BBS, Anil, they could be captain of India before I was captain of India. So I considered myself fortunate to be in a position to lead such champions who are all-time greats in Indian cricket. And I actually could see the transformation, because for me, I may be captain, but they were also leader in my group. And I firmly believed in a team. I firmly believed in everybody feeling it as a team, not just as a captain, because single-handedly you don't win cricket matches. You have 11, 12 players who actually win. So it was important that they also be a part of the leadership group in your journey to success.
I think that is the mark of a true leader, when you're not taking all the accolades and all the praise, but you're sharing it with your team. I
I
think
only believe in sport and business, you hire individuals to tell you what to do, and it's never the other way around. Sometimes we feel that when we get into positions of leadership, when we get into positions where we have the power and authority to decide and take decisions, we actually forget the people who make you successful as well. And I think that's very important. That's very important for individuals to understand that India will only win if a Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, whoever of the 11 perform. It's not just about the captain or a Sourav Ganguly or a Rohit Sharma at the current moment. And I think that understanding is important. You have people around you who will help you to win cricket matches.
There are a lot of things that you can take from on the field to into your boardroom as well. And like you're sharing these examples is rightly so. I think there's so much learning that comes from playing a sport, playing a team sport that we can include in our corporate world.
There are people in this room who've probably seen a lot more than I have. Your life off the field decides what you do on the field, and I think that's very important. It's a sign of your character. It's a sign of your inner self. It's a sign of what you're made of. And I've always believed that you carry on the field what you are off the field, and I think that's very important.
Moving away from cricket a little bit, you recently become an owner of Kolkata Royal Tigers racing team. Racing is a relatively new area for you. What sparked your interest in promoting this sport, and what are your expectations from the team and the sport in India?
You know, I've been involved in various sporting teams, and the closest probably is Delhi Capitals to me. And I share the team with your family. So that is probably the closest to my heart. But many of these teams, I just get forced into it to find a way to popularize it, find a way to market it, and make that sport popular among the people. You know, with racing, just like football, when we came in 2014, I was the we were the first group of teams who started the ISL, being a part of Mohan Bagan. You know, no sport in this country is as blessed as cricket. So every sport has a challenge, whether it's football, whether it's racing, whether it's tennis, whether it's badminton. And every sport has a challenge in its own way. And I think the racing league, it has a challenge on its own. But as you know, Formula One is so popular around the world, although it's not to the stage of Formula One yet. It's Formula 4, Formula 3 at the moment. But then, you know, you begin with something. And when IPL came to India, nobody thought that T20 cricket and 4 or 5 hours of cricket would become so popular all around the world. So I think everything has a start, and then you take it to success, and then you take it to greatness. So for me, motorsport in India is one. But you know what sets India apart from any other part of the world is our country. You know, is a country where the acceptance of new things are much more than anywhere else in the world. I keep saying to everyone, you know, we go to England, we go to America, we go to Europe, to other parts of countries outside India. For me, they're only good for vacations. There is no better country than India. There is no better country than India from sporting prospect, from work prospect, and you know, it's the people who make things so successful. And I think it's a journey which the motorsport will have to take, or any sport. You know, badminton has come across such a long way when it started. You know, when you look at the Olympics, when you look at the Asian Games, what India was 10 years ago, and what India is now is like chalk and cheese. You look at women's cricket. Women's cricket has evolved immensely. So you got to give everything a little bit of time. You know, you cannot compare everything with cricket, where cricket has gone. But I'm sure with time, every sport has a place in this country.
I completely agree with you, and I think more and more of this is required because we definitely want to see an Indian F1 driver. We definitely want to see India competing in a FIFA World Cup. You know, these are something as a kid even I've been dreaming of and waiting for. So more of your involvement and people like you taking these other sports other than cricket will really revitalize them.
Yeah, I think it's a lot also about infrastructure. Whether it's motorsport, whether it's football, whether it's hockey. You know, hockey in India is the top team in the world. It's about what infrastructure you give to athletes. You know, with infrastructure, athletes get better. And I think that should be the biggest challenge and the biggest, I would say, the plan which every sporting body should look at. Because at the end of the day, the sport is made popular, bigger or smaller by the people who participate in it. And as long as they get the infrastructure to participate, I'm sure there'll be improvement.
Absolutely. Now coming back again to cricket and mixing it with the corporate world again, building a winning team. That is something that you have done tremendously time and again in your career. How do you identify and nurture talent, whether it be on the field or off the field? Any example you can share or
In sport, nurturing talent is about gut feeling. There is a lot more systematic way of doing it in business, in doing it in other aspects of life, but sport is about real life. Sport is about doing things at that particular moment because when you're playing a Brett Lee or a Shoaib Akhtar or a Dale Steyn bowling at 90 miles an hour, you have a fraction of a second to decide. And if you nick it, if you get out, you don't get a second chance. So sport is about real. Sport is about at that particular moment. So it is different. And I'll just take your question once.
more that how do you identify and nurture
Yeah.
talent?
So when I look at talent, I look at the ability in it. I look at the match winning ability in it. During my career, there was a lot of young players who played in that team, the likes of Sehwag, likes of Yuvraj, Zahir, Harbhajan. Sachin was already a superstar by the time I walked into the team and got my captaincy. Every captain, as I said, has different way of looking at teams and cricket matches. And India over the years have had different captains with different attitudes. Someone like me who was probably different on the cricket field. Then you had Rahul Dravid who was quiet and resilient. Then you had MS Dhoni who have showed no emotions on a cricket field but was enormously successful. So everyone had their own way of delivering, of their own way of winning matches. So for me, it was about the gut feel about an individual, yes, backed by certain bit of talent. If I have to pick, because we could only pick 11 out of millions who played the game, if I had to pick between an X and a Y who has the same amount of runs and the same performances over a period, he put his team in a position to win. There have been great players over the years who've actually scored runs, but the team didn't win because of the impact of those runs. And that's why people like Sehwag, people like Yuvraj, MS Dhoni, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli's of this generation have so much impact on teams. And I think that's very important. It's your eye to identify talent. Once you have that, because as you said, there's a lot more systematic approach in business. There's degrees, there's work experience, how much time he has spent with other companies, where he has taken to other companies. But sometimes in sport, you don't have that opportunity. When you pick a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old who's just raw and talented, so you have to use your gut feel at times to see whether he's capable enough of taking you ahead. And I think that's very important in leadership. It's about the eye you have for talent.
Anything that you can tell us about learning from a failure or how to overcome a setback? Like 2003 World Cup finals, India played the best. That tournament, India was definitely the best. I think all of us here were sure that India could win. And obviously, we all know what happened. So, how did you get the team out of it, or was it something a really difficult part, or very difficult?
No, no, I think setbacks and failures are a part of life. In sport it is even more apparent than anything else because the best question one journalist asked me that when I finished playing, what you miss the most? I said, I miss that challenge. I miss that challenge of waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for a match, that pressure, the nervousness of being a success or a failure. The entire world is watching, and then by 4 o'clock in the evening, you're either a success or a failure. And it happens everything in quick time. But at the same time that you go back and start from scratch. So failures are a part of every professional's career. For me, it was important that when you succeeded, how much you succeeded. And when you look at Sachin, he's played 700 games for India. He's got 100 international 100, which is a phenomenal achievement. But having said that, he also has underperformed in 600 games of his career. So that's a part of life. You have to find a way to get back, and I'm sure it's in business as well. With the pressures you'll go through, you don't have every quarters which have the same amount of profits. You go up and down. You go through a cycle of success and failure, and then by the end of a year, by the end of the cycle, you judge yourself that whether I've progressed or I've not progressed. And it's a similar thing in life with failures. You will fail. The best in the business fail, but the most successful ones succeed more than they fail. And I think that's very important. It's about the most important mindset in sport is about the belief that every morning when I wake up to go and play, when I wake up to go and succeed, it's going to be my day. It will not be all the time, but what is going to stand with you and what is going to be with you in tough times is that belief that I will succeed. And you have your ways of succeeding. So I've always said to individuals, the best fail and the best recover quickly more than the others from failure. I think that's very important.
I think very well put. That's a big learning for all of us, and I will try to follow that as well. To keep yourself motivated, you keep telling yourself.
Because yesterday has no meaning. You don't have control over the future, and if you keep worrying about the failures in the past, it will not give you confidence. So it's about that particular day. It's about that particular innings, whether you succeed or you don't. If you succeed, you get yourself ready for the next one. Sometimes in life, we think too far ahead. That I've got a season, I've got 12 matches in the season, 12 tests in the season, I need this much amount of runs at the end of the season. All what it does is put so much pressure on you. What you need to do is that game. How you perform that game, and then you go to the next game, and then you go to the next game. And that's how you progress.
No, I think that's so much to learn, and again, I can see so many parallels between the sporting world and the corporate world. You have also said you want to make Bengal a sporting superpower. How will you do that?
Well, to be honest, I don't get involved in making Bengal a superpower in industry. Obviously, the powers are somewhere else. But I, just like all of you, I also want to see the state progress. I obviously promote the positive aspects of the state, but it's not within my jurisdiction to create the positive aspects of the state. So, just like many of you, I also invest in small ways I can. As you know, we're building another steel plant in Midnapur, and we'll take about 18 to 20 months to start the first production. And your family is in steel, they're stalwarts in steel. So everyone has their own way of doing it, but just like all of us, we want to see this state prosper. We want to see job opportunities for everyone, especially the youth, who spend so much time in colleges and universities harnessing their skills and trying to get better. So, for me, that's what progress is all about. When you create opportunities for the youth of the country. And I'm sure with your background in the business world, you've seen that in other states as well. States like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and many other, Orissa, who have actually made rapid strides in the business world over the last 10, 15 years. And I'm sure Bengal will do it. And I think that's very important.